You can see Procrastination and Indifference is the title of today's show. And one of the problems that we have with that procrastination and indifference is that we do that. We procrastinate too much. Procrastination is like being in one place but moving and not going anywhere, such as riding or being on a treadmill. And indifference is that we care about a lot of things. And when I talk about we, I'm talking about us, black people, people in the black community. We care about a lot of things. Yeah, we care about hurting each other. We are very violent toward each other. We care about things, whereas when we can we love to post things on Facebook, threaten other people's and show and tell our business on Facebook. But one of the things that we don't do is we don't stand up against those things that are pertinent to what's going on with us in life. We don't stand up to those things that we see wrongdoing, when we see someone being treated wrongly or done wrongly, they we stand back and we be indifferent to that. So that's what I mean by indifference, when we don't care enough about what's going on in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and even in our cities until it directly affects us. And that's what we really have to not do. It is my wish that all of you were like me. If everybody was like me, and like some of you that I know, like say, I talk about Fred all the time. You know, if you were like Fred and you were like me, we would not have any of the problems that we're associated with. We would not have any problem that we're faced with. We wouldn't have any problem. We'll be treated just like everybody else. And we're at the bottom of the chain, not because by design, but it's because of our indifference. It's because of us not getting involved. It is because of us not caring. So we're going to have to start caring. We're going to have to get involved. We're going to have to. And so again, I want to welcome you. So tell somebody to tell somebody. I started not to do today's show, but I decided to go ahead on and do it anyway. I start to cut down on the shows, meaning do them about twice a month. But I think it's necessary for me to stay up in certain people's face, because everybody that needs to hear the things that I talk about, I'm sure that they are listening to the things that I'm saying on this podcast. So those of you that know that I'm talking about you and make a reference to you, I want you to know that you are the reason that I continue to do this podcast. And when I say that, I'm not talking about you out there in podcast land. I'm not talking about regular uh, John Doe and Jane Doe. I'm not talking about my next door neighbor. I'm not talking about the people down the street. I'm not talking about you, most of you that are looking at this podcast. I'm talking about those select few that are in position of power and authority, people that can make a difference in everybody's lives, but they only make a difference in your life and my life. And what I mean by that, they make a difference in your life and my life by messing with you, by treating you with a heavy hand, by instead of using their discretion in order to help make peace or make things better, they use their power abusively in order to impede your progress in life, or in most cases, destroy you, destroy your families. They don't care about you, they don't care about your families, and now you know that. I have known that all the time, and you have too. You have seen that. So we can no longer afford to wait for somebody else to do what we should be doing and what we need to do. We're just going to. I got my little dog here next to me, and she's looking up in my face. She is so big and she's pretty. And you can see her cage over there. She's pretty, she's trained. She doesn't make any mistakes in the house. And you know what I'm talking about, like pooping and peeing and things like that. And she can hold it. She knows where she's supposed to go and what she's supposed to do. I want to send my condolences out to my cousin, Marcus Connor. He passed a few days ago, and his funeral will be soon. So he's has his mother's passed, his dad passed first, and then his mom, and now my little cousin Christy. I know she's really going through it. So she's lost that support system. Now she's married, but that's her brother. Can you imagine being the only member left in your immediate family? Now, I'm not your immediate extended family. So your immediate extended family would be your siblings. Your immediate family would be your children and your husband. But she has that. But imagine losing your mother, your father, and your child. And some of you out there in podcast land has experienced that. And so I want to give my condolences to you also. But I want to, OJ passed, and I was shocked to know that. Surprised. I guess we all think that everybody's going to live forever until they don't. And everybody got that day. Even you out there in podcast, we all have that day. We have a date with death. That is something that we cannot get around. So one of the things that I advise you to do out there in podcast land is to don't leave it to others to make a decision on what's going to happen to your assets, your resource, and yourself upon your death. So it's nothing like writing down what you want or letting someone you know what it is that you want so that your wishes will be carried out. Because when you die, there's nothing they can do about it. You know what? We spend so much money on funerals, and I guess that's how we grieve. And the system, the insurance industry, the burial, the funeral homes, they just thrive on your grief. They love the fact that you grieve like you do. Do you know that the body itself is designed to deteriorate? If you don't touch it, it will melt and it'll go back to the earth, just like in your Bible that it talk about. That you actually, when you uh, turn back, you go back to the dirt, you go back to the earth. Ash to ash, dust to dust is one of the things they say. But because they use formaldehyde, which is a embalming fluid, it preserves the body. If they did not put formaldehyde in that body, it would literally melt in the casket. Even the bones would melt. And so everything is designed to. And so even though we have so many, we can't continue to bury people. So we're going to continue to bury them where we're going to bury them at, especially if we preserve them. Such as Buddhism, they don't do that. They do cremation. Not everybody in China or in Asia are Buddhists. Like just like everybody over in the Middle East are not. Um, Muslims. I think the largest continent that has the Muslim population, I think, is Africa. Yes, Africa. Africa is a continent, not a country. Donald Trump and OJ. I can't give my condolences to anybody. It's just they talking about him, and it's sad that they won't. The only time they talking about what he did is upon his death, and they talking about the being found not exonerated for killing Nicole Brown Simpkins and whatever the guy name, I forgot his name, that was with her. But he did so many things, like his Heisman Trophy. He won that. He was an excellent football star, and then he was a pretty good movie star until he was one of them. Until he wasn't one of them. One of the things that he did say that he wasn't black, he was OJ. Wow, it's so funny how when we start making money and we can rub elbows with them that we want to be like them. I was talking to a friend, and I'm not gonna call his name, and the thing this person talked about was Israel, and I went to church Sunday. I went to a church up here in Alabama, so I'm going to talk about a couple of things, and I'm going to be going back to that church. It's long. It's a bit long. After about 1 hour, they still hadn't gotten around. They had not even passed the first collection plate. So when you're in a church that by the time an hour passed and they still have not passed the first collection plate, then you're in a church, in my opinion, that's going to last way too long. And from what I was told, that their services last about 3 hours. Definitely not going. Now, let's say if I was working there and I was being paid $100 an hour, be a musician or whatever. Um, Perhaps maybe I could stay at then if I could get paid $100 an hour. But even if it was $1,000 an hour, wouldn't stay there or go back. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because when the minister of that church started praying, he prayed for Israel and prayed for those hostages. Now, folks, I want Q to Google how many hostages are being held. And I know you can hear me, Q. I want you to Google how many hostages are being held by Hamas in the Palestinian war in Palestine. Also, I want you to Google and tell me. I want you to tell how many people that the Palestinians killed, because they're the one that drew first blood. They killed. Now, I think we can throw out an arbitrary number, about 1,200. I didn't know it was that many, but let's say 1,200 people was killed in Israel. and let's say that the hostages are being held, we can just say it's the same number, but I want you to find out the exact numbers. We can say the same numbers because my speech would be the same whether it's 1 or 1,200 or 12,000. Now 12,000 is pretty high, but it has not been any Israeli soldiers killed since the Hamas drew first blood. And so I want to say this, and Q, whenever you want to have those numbers, I want you to just come in here. But here we always got to look out for master. That's my damn problem with that church. Praying for Israel and praying that not one time did this black minister mention the people of color that have been killed in Palestine. Now, it has been over 30,000 folks, women and children. We're not talking about children soldiers. We're not talking about female soldiers. We're talking about 30,000 women and children have been killed by the Israeli. And this person did not pray for that. There have been over 70,000 civilians injured by Israel, people of color, Palestinians. Y'all Google this. He didn't pray for that. He prayed for the hostages. He didn't say anything that the Hamas release those hostages. Praying, folks, I got a problem with that. I got a real serious problem with that. I think, now let me tell you something. Y'all better be glad I'm not damn president of the United States, or that I'm not over in Palestine or any of those places, because there is nowhere in hell I would allow this to happen. This is really bad. And the person I was talking to, he was a white person. This person did not mention that either. He started talking about what they need to blow. Man, I said, see there? I said, now, I tried him. Our political values, views are totally different. He's a white person and didn't see that 30,000 or that 100,000. When I said that to him, he got quiet. He never said I was right. I said, see, that's where you are. I said, your ancestors, you're brutal. You don't care about other people, especially people of color. You came into this country. You came into this country and you took Native Americans here and you just about decimated them and stole and took everything that they had. I said, you came to this country. I said, now they're over there doing the same thing and you're talking about the Israeli. And folks, we've talked about that on this podcast. The Israeli people that are in Israel are not the damn same ignorant preachers that's preaching this shit about Israel every Sunday. This is not the Israel that they're talking about in the Bible. They created this country in 1947 after World War II ended, and they took all those white Russians, the people that you all are vilifying and hate. They took the Israelites, most of them, their relatives, their ancestors, they're from Russia. There were more white Europeans and Russians that were Jewish than any other part of the world. And they created this country over there. They are basically not even a nation created by the United Nations and entered into the United Nations a year and 3 days later. Google this stuff. So you got these white people over there that are not indigenous to that region because they're still white. No matter how they stay in the sun, they will not tan like this, not even like this, nor this. They stay that color. So y'all stop playing for Israel. They are racist Europeans is what they are, that are killing peoples of color. They're showing you, just like Donald Trump is showing you, that the laws, that the Constitution, that the Geneva Convention, all this stuff ain't nothing but fucking a farce. They showing you that they don't give a damn about that. When they want what they want, they will kill your mama, they will kill your daughter, they will kill women and children. They don't give a fuck about you. And then they get stooge niggas like Jimmy Smith and Dustin Markham that continue to fuck with black people and don't do anything for black people. But that is another story. Q, I guess it's something that you want to say. So give those numbers that I was asking about.
The numbers.
Speak louder, please.
Okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. The numbers you were asking for, you said the Hamas. You asking how you
How
say
many
it?
hostages they are
Yeah,
holding?
they're holding over 240 hostages.
Okay, and how many people were killed when they fired the rocket? Do you know that yet?
Not yet. Give me just a
Okay,
minute.
well, let me continue to talk. 200, praying for 240 people that are still living, and did not mention one time about the 30,000 women and children. We're not talking about soldiers bombing a hospital. They don't even have, when you go to the hospital and they don't even have medicine to sedate people that are injured by the Israelis. They're criminals, they're war criminals. It's against the law what they're doing. And Biden, that's my problem with Joe Biden. He's not saying anything about that. Instead of sending money to Israel for them to continue what they're doing, killing peoples of color. Q.
In Gaza, 31,988 Palestinians were killed and 74,188 were injured.
Thank you. See that, folks? And it's steady going on. And they're going in there. What they want to do is they want to destroy all of that. And they took Jerusalem, folks. They created the city of Jerusalem, and they took it and built it in Palestine. Well, Iraq is where the Garden of Eden is. The Garden of Eden they talk about in the Bible is in Iraq. All these countries, they call it the Middle East, term the European gave them. If you go back and go way, 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 way back, it's part of the African continent, folks. There's one thing that I can say, and they don't care about what Donald Trump does or say. He's the poster boy for racism. He's the poster boy for disobeying the law and looking out for himself and his kind. And he's showing you that. I mean, it is sad, folks, that we have this man. I don't think either Joe Biden or Donald Trump should be running for president of the United States. Both of them too damn old. Donald Trump is a narcissist. He's a racist. He's a sexist. He's a bigot. He just should not be. He's a fucking criminal. There's no way that he should be president of anything. His ass needs to be in jail. You put me in jail. You put my folks in jail. You putting everybody else in jail. Everybody that did what he told them to do, they ass doing time. But you racist ass white folks is steady voting for Donald Trump, steady pushing him. Folks, I tell you, I'm going to vote in this election. And the only reason why I'm going to vote in this election is because I'm not voting for Biden. I'm voting against Donald Trump and everything he stand up for. Y'all hear Tube telling me and said, bro, you voted in the Republican primary. Yes, I did. And I'm not going to vote into this time. Now for the president of the United States, you don't have primaries. For the president of the United States, I'm voting against goddamn Donald Trump. Heard what I'm saying? Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it. We done said about it. And so that's why I'm not going to that church anymore. I'm not going anywhere, especially I'm a person. I'm a strong black man, and I stand up, and I believe I'm on the side of the law, folks. I want that law to work. When that law don't work for me, it doesn't work for you either. When you take that law and you cover that law up, you push it aside, or you stretch it and you bend it and you twist it into something other than what it is or what it means, that's not fair to anyone. It's only going to affect a few people. If you're using that bending and that twisting in order to make things bad or worse for someone, then that's bad for that person and for that person's family. But if you're using that law to help someone that you care about because he's your associate or he's a family member, somebody that you've been paid to help, then again, that's wrong. So law should not be bended. It's okay to use your discretion. In other words, that you can sometimes maybe because you have a police officer have a choice. They don't have to give you a ticket and tell you the inconvenience. You give you a ticket for maybe not having insurance and inconvenience you by telling you to come down there and show it, or say let's just say maybe your tag is expired and you come down. How not just let not it's just so much. You see a person run a red light, you see a person speed, you don't have to give them a ticket every single time. Sometimes you can say, I'm gonna give you a warning. They have that choice to give you a warning, but they don't give us that warning. They give those warnings to their buddies. Somebody with money and influence can call to the police station, to the sheriff department, call the mayor's office. The mayor gonna take their call because they have money, they have influence, and then the mayor gonna get on the phone and say, yeah, let their son go. Don't charge that son. His son just got caught with with drugs, a large quantity of drugs. But then let's make this case go away. Let's not indict him. You can't put him in jail. And they will show you the late John Nelson arrested Carmichael's son, and he was a sergeant, and they busted him all the way back down to private. What John Nelson did wrong, they showed, yeah, you can bust anybody you want to when they break the law, but not Gil Carmichael's son, not him. They showed him real quick. So, and then we talking about I think if I'm not mistaken, it was like in the late 70s or the early 80s, and this still going on. But I just, so I won't be going back to that church. And it wasn't long before they asked me how did I feel. Yeah, do I think OJ did it? In my opinion, he showed all signs of being guilty. Yes, I think he got away. But a jury of his peers said he was found not guilty. So that's what we're going to go by. And so, but I kind of wish he would have got found guilty. But thing when OJ got found not guilty, then all of us got found guilty. That's when domestic violence laws start popping up and all of this kind of thing. Folks, I can tell you that something for free. I want to talk about something for free. Procrastination indifference is what I got the title for this show. And one of the things I said is that we procrastinate too much, and of course we're violent. We're very violent people, and we shouldn't be. It's okay to be violent if you're gonna use something like the pen, but not against each other. We're too violent against each other. We can always create a situation, but we can never control the outcome. And so, stop wanting to fight your neighbor, your brother, your cousin, or anybody like that. Always kind of like uh, this. I want to say this to Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith, you have next year, this time you'll be in your lame duckness, meaning that this time next year, if you're not reelected, you will be removed from office. And so, Jimmy Smith, if you want to keep this job, I was telling someone yesterday how, for us looking presidential, Barack Obama perhaps looked that part more so than anyone. And the next person I would choose would be Bill Clinton. After Bill Clinton, probably Ronald Reagan, and then perhaps Jimmy Carter. Those guys look very president. Donald Trump look everything but presidential. He's always scowling. He looks like a thug. It's just should not be the president. Y'all sending the wrong messages out when you don't do things such as what's going on in Hamas. But Jimmy Smith looks more like a mayor than you did, Percy. I'm gonna tell you that, folks. I can tell you, I was told that Percy's not going. Let's talk about on local politics a little bit in Murray, Mississippi. I was told that Percy Bland was not going to run for mayor. Some of you seem to think so. So I'm gonna tell you this, Percy. It's best you don't run for mayor because you're not mayor now. I'm gonna talk about your ass. I'm gonna goddamn bring up this shit. You know I'm getting ready to depose you. In my discovery, I'm gonna take a deposition from you, Percy Bland. I'm gonna get one from you too, Rochester Anderson, and I'm gonna pay for it. And Percy, you already know the kind of questions I'm gonna ask you. In my case, is not being sealed. Don't you tell no lie. Because if you tell a lie, I'm gonna bring the person that told me, and we know who we're talking about. I'm gonna bring that person up, and I'm going to have that person. I'll bring that person in and get a deposition from that person. I can get a deposition from that person. Anyway, I want to talk about a few things, and yeah, Jim, I want to get back to you. The time for you being arrogant is over. You can no longer be arrogant. Now you got to start. You're not going to keep this job, Jim, if you continue on at your path. One of the things that you're going to have to do is get rid of Dustin ass. Now, I know that you probably choose someone else to be the city court judge if you were to be reelected, but I suggest you not to take that role. Just like Dustin will not bring you any votes. I'm gonna tell you, he'll bring his mom, his dad, and maybe a few other votes, but Dustin's not gonna bring you any vote. He lost atrociously when he ran for mayor, so he's not gonna bring you any votes, and absolutely nobody like his ass. Nobody like his ass. Hell, nobody but his mom and dad. Nobody like Dustin, and so you cannot bring. You need to go ahead on and replace Dustin now. If you want this job, show us to sit. You hear, I already hear too, but time, bro, you ain't but one person. Yeah, but I'm speaking for the voices, bro. I'm speaking for the voices of the people. Now you need to get rid of Dustin. There just ain't no if and but about it. You're gonna have to get rid of if you want to keep this job. Because if you don't get rid of him, we're gonna get rid of you and him. Now I want to talk about. I'm talking that James Carter running for mayor. James, I'm just telling you, cheese, poach cheese. You're not gonna get it. He's not poached. He used to be so little they call him poach, but he's not poor now because he's been, living off that grant money again. So he done got kind of thick now. You think you one of them, but they gonna show you. They show you, and you're not. You're not gonna even be in the runoff. Let's just talk about people like Ron Turner. I'm told gonna run for mayor. Ron Turner. I'm told that Joe Norwood Sr. was going to run for mayor, and I'm told that I don't think Tybell Lindsay. She's thinking about running for mayor, but I think that she would support Rita, and I think that's a good thing. I think that the city council is responsible for a lot of things that's going on in Meridian because the city council affirm everyone that the mayor brings to and so the city council really is kind of like the governing authority. The mayor come up with solutions and come up with things that he want done in order to make Meridian a better place, and the city council is the one that approve or affirm everyone or everything that that's going on in the city of Meridian. So I think that the city council, in my opinion, I know I talked about Ramonda Walker last week, but in my opinion, the city council, the Meridian City Council, need to be replaced, in my opinion, in its entirety because it's too many. You got four black city council for things not to be going on for the black community like it should be. The thing is the same thing that's happened in Meridian, Mississippi, when you're talking about urban renewal, when they go in and start changing everything, changing the footprint of downtown, and changing it when you take everything that you blacks used to own or used to have and it's no longer owned, or there's no black activity there anymore. It's all white and everything. You got the 3 foot building, you got the different cafes and all that, and everything down there is created for the other community. And it should have been. They say things like community at large, but that's just code word for white people's only, because that's kind of like how Meridian is. So you have people that the only time they need you niggas is when it's time for you to vote. And since all of you are not voting, we still ain't gonna do shit for you because you don't vote. Only thing you gonna do is sit back and continue to get high, continue to do what it is that you do, but you're not gonna partake in the political process. I'm not gonna do anything to help you when we already taking care of you and your family. You ain't doing nothing anyway. You're not doing anything but fighting amongst each other. So now we need to stop that. So now we are, and what's going on in Meridian goes on everywhere: urban renewal, black removal, and so we. But the only way we can change that, and I've been saying this and saying this, the only way we can change that is by getting involved with the political process. I'm gonna talk about a few things before I close out on this thing. I want to talk about some things. I'm fixing to just give you some little things about what I did and some things that I have done. Wanting something for free. In 1977, I wanted something for free, and I was asked. Well, I'm looking down, so that means I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna talk about something different. I want to just talk about what happened to me the other day. I had to go to court, folks, the other day in Meridian, Mississippi, and I told you about. I told you I filed a lawsuit against Dustin, um, John Howard, Dustin Markham, Kenneth Markham, and Jimmy Smith. For actually violating my rights, my constitutional rights, with the trying to use the court system in order to incarcerate me, and I wasn't going to allow for that to happen. And so I've been. The last time this tried to happen with me is that it took almost 2 years for me to make it go away. Wasn't fixed to go through 2 years of this again. So what I did is I gave an intent to sue, meaning that I'm standing up and I'm fighting you back now. I'm gonna use the very things. Hey, Angela, I'm gonna use the very things that you're using against, that using to trying to hurt me, and you're doing it in such a way that you're violating my rights. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you that I'm not going. I'm gonna fight your ass back. And so I started fighting them back, and I started using my pen. I used my pen in order to draw up a lawsuit, an intent to sue in the state of Mississippi. Anytime you're going to sue anyone that's a city or county government or or an employee of the city or an employee of the county or an employee of the state, you have to give them a 90 days notice. In other words, and letting them know that you're intending to sue them, and not only that you are intending to sue them, but you have to say why you're suing, what you want in that suit, and who it is that you're suing, and reason. In other words, you have to basically put everything in that intent to sue. And when you file a lawsuit, you can't deviate from that, because what you're doing is giving them notice of what you're going to do. And so it's kind of like saying what you're going to do and then doing what you're going to do. And so I did that. Boy, I can tell you. So I had to go to court Monday. Now I had to go to court twice. I had to go to court in Alabama with my daughter, and I did that. And so morning in Alabama, afternoon in Mississippi. So I informed my attorney, Jim Williams, that I was going to I'm gonna get there. I may be there a little late, but I am going to get there. And so I informed my attorney up here that I had to be in Mississippi. And so court started at 9 and I was out of there at about 10. And so I had plenty of time to get to Meridian. And so, but I want to tell y'all this. I want to talk about my attorneys a little bit. I want to let you know that in it, I have been blessed. I have been lucky enough, fortunate enough, astute enough to always pick an attorney that I trust, and they respect my knowledge, my education, and my ability and my understanding of the law. And it's like that up here. And the only black person, too, that I have ever had to do that, knew my intelligence and knew how I am about the law. Roger Druitt was first. The second, Joseph Denson, and almost all the others have been white. I have been fortunate. Andrew LaPlante is retired now. LaPlante means the plant in French. I He was my attorney. Him and I had a very good relationship, and we would talk like you and I are talking now. This attorney now, Stephen Jones, now is my family attorney. He's a very good attorney. He's a white Republican, and I can tell you we get along very well, and we're almost on first name basis. We are basically, but I call him Attorney Jones. But sometimes we get to laughing and talking, and we can talk about anything. I trust him, and I trust his counsel, and he trusts mine. And so Jim Williams is that person in Mississippi where we're on first name basis, not because we know each other, known each other that long. I don't call him Attorney Williams. I call him Jim. And he called me Eddie. And so when I got to court, and he came out and told me how Dustin had instructed him vehemently, and just really basically laid into him. Now I'm gonna tell you this, Dustin. This is the second time you done Jim like this, and each time, in my opinion, you were out of order because you ain't gonna do anybody else like that. See, I have never heard or known you to just lash out at any attorney other than Attorney Williams. And Dustin, you wrong for that. Now he wouldn't like that I'm saying this, but damn it, I'm gonna say it. Each time when Candace hired Jim to take an affidavit to you to dismiss the charges, you lit into him and you talked about me. And another time you was talking about me. My friend was in the courtroom and he heard everything you said. And he's prepared to testify to that when I file a lawsuit against your ass and bring you to Alabama. Because what, and folks, let me not get ahead. I want to tell you what happened to me the other day. When I went there, Jim met me out in Hawaii and told me that I was loud in the courtroom the time I was in the courtroom before. And of course, when I, folks, now you can see how I am here sometime. Angela, you know about the old TV. You know how them old TV was. You may not, you should remember. Yeah, yeah, you might. Yeah, I can remember. Y'all was one of the first ones to get a color TV, but you might not remember. But your mama would have knew, or either your uncle know. But Angela, them old TVs. Ask Jake. Jake know those old TVs, they had tubes in them. And when the tube go out, the volume tube went out, it either go all the way down, you couldn't hardly hear it or didn't hear it, and you try to turn it up a little bit so you can hear it, and it'll go all the way up. And so that's kind of like how I am. I'm bipolar. I'm either all the way calm or I'm fucking aggressive as hell. And I think a lot of you out there in podcast land is like that. I know I'm like that. I'm bipolar. I know folks that are triple polar, quadpolar, and I tell you, most of them are females. But I want to and so when I was in the courtroom, I knew Dustin was in the back, and so I spoke loud enough for him to hear what I said. Didn't trust him. Don't trust John Howell. I told John Howell that to his face. And as Fred said, as Fred was allowed. Well, see, because when you in that zone and you upset, you don't know. He said, yeah, yeah, yeah. You was loud and thuggish. But anyway, when Jim told me that, I said, fuck Dustin. And I said it loud enough and hoping he could hear it inside the courtroom. But he said, you ain't fucking Dustin. He said, well, if you got that attitude, you fucking me. Because what Dustin said, that is up to the attorney to control the client. That's not true, Dustin. Your courtroom, it is up to you to control your courtroom. You should have been fussing at John Howell because he was in there and I was talking to him. And I did. I fussed at Jim when they saying I wanted that man to recuse himself. And Jim, that's what Jim, you find the law, whatever law it is, that it's your duty to find the law so that it show him in the law where he got to get his ass out from up there in front of me. But anyway, so I probably was. But anyway, I said, okay. I don't want to throw Jim up on the bus. So I said, okay, for you, I'll calm down. So I went straight, I getting ready to go in the car, and Jim told me to wait outside. And so the bailiff, the little short white lady police officer, um, um, telling everybody to come inside. I said, I was instructed to stay outside by my attorney. And she said, no, you need to come in now. I said, well, let me go to my car. I went to the car and got my daughter Ray and brought her inside. And then I told her brother was on the way to tape, which he was. And so I went in the courtroom. When I went in the courtroom, Dustin stopped what he was doing and told John came out of the back. I guess he was peeping, waiting on me to come in. Came out the back, and Dustin instructed John to go to the briefing room and take me. Then he looked around and saw Jim and said, Jim, go with John to the briefing room. Y'all gonna do it over there. And he said, Mr. Hope, follow Attorney Williams to the briefing room. I just said, yes, Judge. I didn't say yes, Your Honor, or none of that, because he's not my honor. I didn't say yes, sir, because he should be saying yes, sir, to me, because I'm old enough to be his dad. Uh, Either way, I just said yes, Judge. I wasn't disrespectful in the courtroom, but I wasn't finna give him any kind of undue praise, any kind of adulation, because I don't have those type of feelings toward him. Hey, Aurelia. My baby said, I'm not the only one by pub. I know you is. No, she's really sweet and she's doing good and she's gonna be okay. That's my daughter Rhea. But I went in there. When we went in, we never sat down. He didn't go anywhere. Like, this is my second time coming into this room, or third time. Each time sit down and you come to order. When none of that. Stood up and what a witness, no witness. They dismissed the charge against me so fast too, but I tell you, and I already know what it was. It was because. And then when they asked for their fine wasn't there, and say I knew what a fine was. And I said, yes, I know. I said, yeah, and I stated where. But even so, it ain't my duty. It's never your duty to bring your accusers against you. It's the one that's prosecuting you duty to bring your accusers or the fine, the people that make affidavits or the people that have an issue with you or say you did this, that. It is their duty to bring that person there. Let me tell you how bad they wanted to do me. A police officer came and took the affidavit. And they wanted, John had delayed the hearing to bring the police. Oh, I talked about that in my intent to sue, man. They backed all the way up, and it was me that did that. Of course, when leaving out, I went in there a long time. I got out there, shoot, my son had just stretched out. But one of the things that I told Jim, I said, I'm gonna have to give you a pay raise. Now, see, you always got to give people praise and things like that, but he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. They don't show Jim absolutely. They show him absolutely no respect in that courtroom. And that's Dustin. And Dustin, you wrong for that. And I'm gonna tell you, Jim, and I've told y'all this before, and I reiterate, he's one of the best research attorneys, one of the best appellate attorney, in my opinion, in the South. He's just that good. Other attorneys, such as Robert Jones, hires him to do appeals. Such other attorneys, such as Joe Denson, go to him and ask for his advice and ask, perhaps maybe get his help and thing. But he won't do that in the courtroom. He's so docile. He's almost like a toothless kitten. He won't do anything in their courtroom. Once they speak up, shit, we gonna go to guy. I'm gonna get down this bar, and I ain't finna let nobody talk to me in a certain kind of way. And I'm telling you, when they talk, they can talk and they can say what they want to when they got that gavel in their hand. Because not all the time you I don't know why some judges, including Dustin, is one of them that think he's God. But Dustin hurt the black community really bad. The little small things he's doing is not good. And so I'm gonna be rallying him. I got the gun in my hand. Now don't take that as a threat. What I mean by that is that it is time now for me to rally my people and do all I can to ensure that you don't be there next year, Dustin. I'm gonna be here in this same damn podcast telling your ass I told you so. Guess what, Dustin? You're gonna lose all that stuff you got because you ain't right. You're right. Don't bring your ass to Alabama. You coming to Alabama. You coming. You too, Jimmy. Too. You can go ahead on and give me some money now. Call me in your office and work something out and pay me for what they done. Dustin, your ass put me in jail for a day. I'm gonna make you pay for that damn day. That's wrong for that shit you doing. You think you know something? You don't know shit. Crime ain't went down. Crime done went up. Motherfuckers still doing the shit they doing. You don't know shit. You ain't doing shit. You about as bad as bad as bad. One of the best judges they had in there was Robert Jones. Didn't do none of this shit you did. Too bad. So you talked about him, yeah, but not about that. Robert Jones, a bad man, and he's still a judge. Dustin, your ass, your days are numbered. Folks, I want to talk. So, I was telling you guys how to build your credit, and the lowest credit score that you can have is 300, and the highest credit score that you can have is 850. And so I want to tell y'all about that. And so I'm running my damn mile. So I'm going to show you guys. Now I can tell you this time last year, my credit score was probably about 420, 430 or something like that. And probably about 5 months ago, it was probably like about 525. Let me tell you, like in order for you to get certain type of consideration for certain type of loans, you have to have at least a 540 or something like that, a 540. And if you got bad credit, you got to have at least 440. And so, but you can see why I said mine was at like about 435. The lowest I ever seen a product was about 390. And I'm just telling you guys, I don't mind telling you that. And so I'm telling you is that you got to look at your credit score. And folks, let me tell you something. Credit score is very important. They use that to make a determination whether or not they're going to let you into an apartment. They use that to make a determination whether or not they're going to your insurance rate. It makes a difference on how much they charge you to have insurance rate. It make a difference when you do get a credit, say by a house about car. It makes a determination on what interest rate you're going to get. The higher your score is, the lower your interest rate. The lower your score, the higher your interest rate. And so, folks, credit score is very important. So what I want Q to do now is I want you to put up my lowest credit score. The lowest credit score, you got three major credit bureaus. You have I think Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, I think is what it is. Those are the three. And so I want you to put up my lowest and go ahead, do that now, Q. And while Q is putting up that, she's gonna put up my lowest, my next high, that's my lowest right there. You see it, there, folks, and y'all can see it. This here's my credit score. It's a 712, but this 712 now is 728. And so here's where I am now with that. And I can tell you, folks, and I took a picture and I sent it to her. And this is with TransUnion. TransUnion scores are usually lower than the other two. But even so, with a 712, I can get anything. I can buy a car, and my interest rate will be the lowest interest rate that they offer. I could buy a house. If I bought a house and finance it, it would be the lowest interest rate. I get offers now from American Express and all that, wanting me to take out a credit card. Do I take them out? No, I ignore those offers. Don't run your credit unless you know what it is that you want. I want you to put up my next credit score now, Q. 739. So that still is the same. And on about the 25th of every month, your credit score changes. They look at your activity, what you've done, whether or not you borrowed or something like that. And so then it's it either go up or it go down. If you start making a lot of applications for credit, it will go down. Every time you fill out an application for credit, your credit score, it impacts your credit score by 10 points. So you fill out, if I was to fill out 10 applications, my credit score probably go down to about 600, which still is good. But why would do, and then you only thing you're doing is hurting yourself. And I advise everyone out there to look at your credit report, because you could get a free credit report every year. Free, you can get it. So if you never got it, you can just ask them. You can look at it, study it. If you don't understand, you can go to the Facebook page, reaching out with Eddie, and ask questions, and I'll be glad to give you those answers. And also, um, look at it, because if it's something on that is wrong, you can challenge it and take it out, and that will make your score go up. I had two things on my credit report that I didn't know anything about. Folks, you know, Sprint and Q, found out when did T-Mobile buy Sprint. If I'm not mistaken, T-Mobile bought Sprint in 2016. I had a collection on there for almost $1,000 from Sprint. Sprint saying I didn't pay them, folks. They just put that up there, I think, in February of this year, and it impacted. And then I had another thing on there from Commercial Bank that had been on there for almost 3 years, and I didn't know anything about it. And so, folks, look at it and see what's going on with your report. It'll tell you also whether or not it gives you information about the dark web, whether or not you got whether or not the dark web is someone using your credit, with your identity been stolen. It's very important that you look at it, and don't just look at it once a year. I suggest you look at your credit report just like you look on Facebook, or you look at your email and see who's anyone sent you email. Now, some of you don't look at your email, so I'm not talking about that behavior. I'm talking about the behavior where you look at your email at least once a day. And then, in my opinion, you should look at your credit report at least a once a once a month, and look at it around about the 15th. Q, bring up the other credit, my highest credit score.
Okay. And T-Mobile bought Sprint April 1st, 2020.
2020. All right. So it hadn't been anything since about that time. And there, look at that, folks. 768. That's Experian. That is my credit report right there. And I can tell you, people, I did that in about 6 months by doing what I told you to do. Make sure you don't never use more than 1/4 of your credit. If you have a 400 credit limit, only never borrow, never charge more than $100. If you charge $200, it will immediately impact your score and bring it down anywhere from 5 to 10 points. So and then if you only use it, showing that you are responsible, that you're using the credit for kind of like for protection, or maybe to keep from carrying cash, but you're not using credit to live off. When you have a credit card and it's maxed out, what you're telling everybody, what you're telling the three different credit bureaus, the people that look at that, is that you're living off credit, that you're spending money that you don't have, that you really cannot afford. And so that'll give you a very low credit score. Once I saw that, and how I learned is with the trade lines. I'm not going to create a trade line so that you can take it down now, babe. I'm not going to create, you can take it down now, Q. I'm not going to create a trade line. And next time, Q, don't put it in front of my face, put it in front of your face. So that way you have two wonders up, or either put it in a separate wonder. But I'm not going to create a trade line and then not pay it. A lot of people out there doing that. They're creating trade lines with fake names and fake social security number. They go into the social security website and they getting these numbers that's generated by the social security administration, but that has never been used. And so they don't get a number. The first three numbers represent the state, and then the next three numbers represent perhaps maybe the generation. And so once you get the first three numbers, you have to go and you keep doing it. They got a website and you keep clicking and taking. Eventually to tell you that this number has never been used. That way you won't get in trouble with identity theft. But I'm not even going to do that. Once I saw what they were doing to build credit, once I got that advice, no one ever told me that. And so I'm passing that advice on to you so that you too can have a high credit score like that. Now, is there anything that you want to say, Q, before I signed off? Folks, I want to thank you all for listening in, and